design team project for ASC Craft Supplies to share today. I will leave links to the web stores in the description box below. And remember to use my coupon code Michelle10 for 10% off your regular price purchases. And any order $75 or more ships free. And I did use the Mente, I think it's the Lady Paper or Lady Paper. I'm trying to remember which one. But it's this beautiful pinky peach and green paper collection. I absolutely love it. I used my 6x6 paper pad for this, and they still had some in stock, so I ordered another one just because I love it so much. And on the front here, I have just used some of these laces from my stash, and I was trying to mimic what the lid up here looks like with my floral cluster and the laces hanging down. And a lot of these flowers are from ASC Craft Supplies. I have some little leaves tucked in the back that I cut out with my Cricut, some of my little berries, and then I also tucked in some pearls in the floral spray, and I used these Frank Garcia Memory Hardware pearls, and these are in Fantasy. This is really beautiful pearls. So I tucked various sizes in the paper collection. I'll tilt that up so you can see I have it hanging down with the flowers and the pearls, and the leaves are hanging down like the collage up here. Really pretty green background with a peach on the front, and on the sides I use this beautiful scene on the sides, and the same on the back. And then on the top you have this beautiful window with the flowers and the beautiful mirror and the shutters that are chippy and pilly, which I love. And I'm going to go ahead and open this up like so. So I have the box on the inside, and I keep forgetting to have my husband cut a candlestick down for me. So it's not attached inside yet, and I'll just set it up here. I'll scoot this back so you can see. And I've covered it with a gorgeous paper. I'll just turn it around here. And I have this really pretty floral cluster. Once again, the flowers are from my stash and ASC Craft Supplies, and the pearls are from the shop as well. And you just open it like so, and it raises up. And I have this beautiful vase that I picked up from the Silhouette Design Store and cut it out. And then I have some flowers and pearls here to make the floral cluster at the top, some more of the lace and the leaves and the berries. And I'll just turn this around so you can get a 360 view. But I thought it came out so pretty, and I just thought that little vase was so pretty. And it closes like so. And this cardstock is not the best cardstock. I thought it would work well, but when I go to close it, I kind of have to push down just like that. So I think I'm going to glue some washers on the bottom to help it close, just for some weight. It needs some more weight. Goes in the middle, and now I'll change my camera view so you can see the boxes. This is the top view, and as you can see, I used the beautiful floral paper with the cream background, and then I used this scene of the stands with a mirror and the beautiful wreath around it. But it's just a beautiful paper collection. Just turn it so you can see. I always like to put from the opposite the same. And then it does have the drawers, and I did alter the measurements so everything is just a little bit smoother than my other embellishment box. And each one of these sides does have a drawer, so you can put goodies on the inside. And we'll just bring the lid in since I have a top view. I'll hold that up closer so you can see the flowers. I just love how that came out. And I have two different trims here on the lid. I forgot to mention that. So you can see there's like a flat one on the back, and then this really pretty trim with the pearls goes around the edge. And I didn't do a lot of decorating. I thought the paper was so gorgeous, I hated to cover it. Then the box just closes up like so. And then you put your lid on like that. Stay tuned for the tutorial. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. So let's do the measurements for the base, the sides, and the lid of the explosion box. And we'll kind of do it in sections. You're going to need 4 pieces that measure 6 by 6.5. And on the 6.5 inch side, we're going to score at 1/2 inch. and then we're going to turn it. And what we're going to do is we're going to come down just a little bit, and we're going to score at the 5-inch mark down, just leave maybe a 1/2 inch to 1 inch. And all this is right here is a guide when we're putting our drawers in, we get them straight. 4 of these 6 by 6.5, 1/2 inch on the 6.5 inch side, and then at 5 inches just come down, score, and stop, you know, maybe an inch from the bottom of the paper. And then you'll have the base, and this is just 6 by 6, no scoring. And for the lid, it is 8 5/8 inches by 8 5/8 inches. And I will have the measurements in the description box below as well. So then you're going to score this at 1 1/4 on all 4 sides. Okay, and now for the drawers, you will need 4 pieces of cardstock that measure 8 by 6. And on the 8-inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch, 1 1/2, 6 1/2, and 7 1/2. And you'll need 4 of those. And for the drawers that go inside, you're going to need 4 pieces that measure 5 7/8 by 5 7/8. And on this one, it's a little bit tricky. It's the measurement that I scored at is at the 15/16 mark. And it is between the 15/16 on my scoreboard is in between the 7/8 and the 1 inch mark. So what you'll need to do is just take your pencil and mark where it's in between, and then just scoot it over a little bit, and your pencil marks in one of the grooves, and then you'll just do your score line, and then you'll turn it. And we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to mark in between the 7/8 and the 1 inch. I'm just going to put a little pencil mark, and then slide my pencil mark over till it's in one of the grooves that I can score, and just run that down. And we're going to do that to all 4 sides. So I'm just putting a pencil mark, and then scoot it over and score. And one more time, pencil mark, scoot it over just a little bit, and then we'll score. You will do that to all 4 pieces of your 5 7/8 by 5 7/8. I'm going to take my pieces that form the lid, the base pieces, and the sides, and this is your lid is your 8 5/8 by 8 5/8, scored at 1 1/4 inches. This is your base is 6 by 6, and your sides are 6 by 6 1/2, scored at the 1/2 inch mark on the 6 1/2 inch side, and we scored some of the 5 inch. So what I want to do now is I'm just going to miter my corners, and what I'm doing is I'm just going past that 1/2 inch score mark a little bit, and then angling it. It'll just give us a nicer finish. I want to miter the corners on the pieces that our drawers slide into. They are the 8 by 6 that we scored to 1/2 inch, 1 1/2, 6 1/2, and 7 1/2. And I just want to miter these on the outside corners. And I'm just, let's see here, I'm going past the score line, and just angling it in ever so slightly, because you don't want to go past that score line, because then you will see it on the side of our, I'll call this our box. So I'm just going to do that to all four corners on all four pieces. Got all of our corners mitered, and what we can do now is we'll go ahead and get our lid ready and our 4 drawers ready. I'm going to cut on the score line to where it intersects right there. Okay. I wasn't thinking when I picked this green paper it was going to be really hard to see, so I'm just going to cut up to this score line where it intersects. I'm going to do that on the opposite side. And now I'm going to go ahead and crease it. I guess I should have done that first. I always forget. I forgot to miter these just a little bit. So I'm just going to cut a little bit out of our tab. Okay, there we go. Whoops. So now we can glue them down. It just gives it a little bit better of a fit when you miter. Okay, put glue on our tabs. I'll just go ahead and do both of these. And then we'll just fold it in and do this side. And we'll do the same thing to these 2 tabs. Okay, so this is our lid. Now we'll take our drawers for the inside of the explosion box, and we are going to, okay, let's score these, or burnish these first. So now I'm just going to cut up to the score line, and I'm going to miter the tab, and I'm going to do this to all 4 corners, and I'll just turn it and do the opposite ends. Okay. And I'm going to do that to all 4 pieces. So I have our side pieces, and they are 6 by 6.5 that we scored at the 1/2 inch and along the 5-inch mark. And right now you want the score line that is on the side of your piece, you want it on the left. So when I glue my paper down, and then this is the inside part, it will be on the right. I've inked my edges, and this piece measures, the decorative piece measures 5 7/8 by 5 7/8. And I am using my fabric tack for this because I like it to have a little bit of wiggle room, so I can make sure it's nice and centered. I love art glitter, as you know, but it dries so quick, and when I'm gluing a large area like this, I like to have a little bit of wiggle room. I just feel a little bit safer, because sometimes it'll grab on me before I'm ready. Okay, and that looks like it's nice and lined up, and I could just slide it ever so slightly. Adhesive eraser, and get that little bit that seeped out the side. So we'll turn this over, and we now have our 5-inch score mark on the right. So I'm just going to set it to the side, and now let's go ahead and put our decorative paper on the outside of our drawer, or our box rather. I have inked my edges, and this decorative piece is 4 7/8 by 5 7/8. So it's going to go in the middle, and our two side pieces are 7/8 inch wide by 5 7/8. I'm going to glue these down, and I am going to use my art glitter glue, or my fabric tack for this. Just lining this up between the two score lines. I just want a nice little green border, and that looks good. I'm going to take my scraper and just go over that. Now we have the outside of our box covered, and I'm going to bring this in, just do my little dry fit, and what we're going to do is we are going to lay this down and line the bottom of our box with that score line along the bottom, like that, and then we are going to line the side up with our score line that we put here, and that will make sure we get that line nice and straight. So I am going to use art glitter glue on that part. Kind of switch back between my glues here. Okay, I'm going to turn this like this so I can see it a little bit better. And I'm just going, that score line is right here. And I'm just going to take this edge and I'm going to go right up against it, like so. And lay this down and make sure that you can see the score line here, and if you want you could even go like this and make sure it folds up, because you don't want to hit that score line, because that's where we're going to attach to the base. That looks nice and straight, so I'm going to burnish that down really well, and then we're going to come over to this side and we're going to put glue on this tab. Okay. We're just going to line it up along the edge and make sure it's lined up along the top as well, like so. That looks good. There we go. It's going to slide on me a little bit. There we go. And it's lined up along the bottom and the top. Decorative piece measures 7/8 wide by 7/8 wide by 5 7/8 tall. And now we're going to bring in our base, the 6x6 piece, and we're going to put glue on our bottom tab. I'm just going to line this up with each side and along the score line, like so. And then I'll fold up like that. I'm just going to go ahead and do the other three sides. Okay, so I have my sides covered in my decorative paper, and now I'm just going to attach them like I did the first one, and I did forget and attach this one. We'll attach these two, and I like to do like the opposites the same, that way we get some different paper. And I love this paper collection. It is, I don't think I mentioned, it's the Mente Lady. It is such a beautiful paper, and the scenes are just so gorgeous. It doesn't take much decorating as well. So I'm just gonna, see here, turn it like this, turn it around, whoops, turn it around. I'll turn it around here, and I'm just gonna slide this in. And just put it up to the score line along the bottom. And a little bit more on that side. Make sure it folds up nicely. That looks good. Okay, and now we can do this side. Let me turn around this way. Then I can see the score line as I'm putting it in. And then it closes up. Whoops. See here, get my hands to work. And it closes up like that. So now I'm going to bring in a decorative piece to go here in the middle, and this measures 5 7/8 by 5 7/8. Just going to pull this in and make sure I get it centered. That looks good. We'll turn this over, and I want to put a piece along the bottom. I cut another piece that is 6 by 6, and we'll glue this on the bottom. I'm just making sure that I'm not covering up any of our score lines that you can see where we attach the sides. I'll just put some glue on here, and that will cover our tabs up and make the bottom, the base, really sturdy. Just getting it lined up. I'll turn it over, and this is the base and sides. So now I'm going to bring the lid in, and we should have covered this before we put our tabs together. And for the top of our lid, I want this seam right here. And you're just going to use the 6 by 6 paper because the top is 6 1/8 by 6 1/8. Just centering it on there. I'll turn it over and burnish it. And our side pieces for the lid are going to measure 1 1/8 wide by 6 inches long. And I'm just going to go around and glue these all around the sides. And you're also going to need 4 more for the inside of your lid as well. And I've already glued those in just to save some time. For the inside of the lid, this is cut at, and I'm so sorry for this 16th measurements, it is 5 15/16 by 5 15/16. Just, if your trimmer does not have 16th marks, just go between the 5 7/8 mark and the 6-inch mark. It's just a little bit so it would fit in nicely and have a nice border. That's why it's such an odd measurement. So I do apologize once again. And now for the test to see if it fits on top of our explosion box. And it should be a tight fit, which is what we want, so it'll hold your explosion box together. So you have to make sure you get it on the top all at once. There you go. See, it's a nice snug fit. That way it holds your corners together on your explosion box, and it just looks like a regular box. That way you don't have any gaps right there. I have the drawer insert. I have my decorative piece, which is 4 3/4 by 5 3/4. And I have our inset pieces here. They are 13/16 by 4 3/4 for the top and bottom. And then the side pieces are 13/16 by 5 3/4. And this one is, 13/16 by 5 3/4. And on the outside, it'll be the same. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue these 3 pieces down, and then we'll fold our tabs in and put the top and bottom. Turned the drawer over, and let's go ahead and glue our pieces that go here. The decorative side pieces are 13/16 by 5 3/4. You will need 2. Top and bottom are 13/16 by 4 3/4, and you'll need 2 for the outside. And I'm going to go ahead and glue those down. And I haven't put a bottom yet because you're going to open these when it's laying flat. So I'm choosing not to put a decorative piece on the very bottom, but you could if you wanted to. I'll turn it over and I'm going to put glue on the back of the tabs. Go ahead and do this one as well. And we'll just fold this in like so. Make sure you line it up with the score line. So this score line here and that edge, we're just going to line them up together. And when I'm doing this, sometimes I'll have to push down on the tab to get it to line up and be flush along the top. Okay. So we'll do these two tabs. We can glue in the top and bottom on the inside so we can cover our flaps up. We have our drawer, one of them, and I'll bring our explosion box back in, and the drawer will just, whoops, slide in like so. So it fits perfectly. I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of my drawers, and I will be back and we will start the pop-up element. Now what I want to do is I want to cut out the pieces for the base of the pop-up heart box. And it does have some tricky measurements, so that's why I have the paper trimmer out. I normally don't show you cutting my paper, but since this is an 8 and 13 by 16ths by 8 and 13/16 square, and if you look at my paper trimmer, and I have the Stampin' Up! Paper trimmer, I just got this and I absolutely love it, and it has centimeters as well as the inches. And when I'm saying 16ths, what I'm talking about is on my paper trimmer, this one has 16 little lines for each inch. And if you don't have the 16th measurement, you would just go in between, like you would have maybe 8 lines versus the 16. And if you do, you would just make a little mark or lay your paper in between, like the 3/4 and the 7/8 line. So on this one, since it's 8 and 13/16, you're going to count over to 13 lines. Not counting 8, you're going to start, my little pointy tool, you're going to start at the first line past the 8. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So it's between the 3/4 line and the 7/8 line. So we're going to cut that paper out. I'm just going to slide it over. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing again. So it's between the 3/4 and 7/8. So that is the outside portion of the box. And now we're going to cut out the piece for the outside of the box, and you'll need 2 of these. And they are 6 by 5.5. And we will also need a piece for the inside, which I'm going to call the lifted square. And it will be 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. Then we will need 2 pieces that are 3/4 by 5 16. Have cut our pieces, and we don't need to do anything to the 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 square. For the 3/4 by 5 3/16 strips, this for the outside of the box are 6 by 5 1/4. And on the 6-inch side, I'm going to score at 1 1/2 and 4 1/2. 1 1/2 again, and 4 1/2. Okay, and we'll do the same thing to the other one. 1 1/2 by 4 1/2. 1 1/2 by 4 1/2. And then for our large piece, which is the inside of the box, the 8 and 13/16, We are going to score at 2 15/16. So that's going to be between our 2 7/8 and our 3. And I'm just going to do a pencil mark between those two, and I need to score at 5 7/8. So we'll do that, and then I'm just going to slide this over and score there. And I'm going to rotate, and I'm going to do the same thing. So 2 15/16 is falling right in between the 2 7/8 and 3, and I will score at 5 7/8. Okay, and score there. Okay, so now we have all 4 sides scored. What I want to do now is bring back in my ruler, and I want to measure in between, and it's almost at 3 inches. So I'm going to mark approximately the center, which would be 1.5, close enough. And I want to do little tick marks here at 1 and 2. And then I'm going to draw lines. And this doesn't have to be perfect. We're just making a slit. And I'm going to make it about 1/8 of an inch. Or actually, let me go 1/4 of an inch. Just making sure I get it straight. Okay, that's not perfect, but it'll be okay. So I'm going to just do that. And so I've just made a square, and like I said, this does not have to be perfect. So I'm just going to cut those out. I'm going to use my X-Acto knife. And if you have a punch that would cut, you could just punch this, that would be awesome, but I do not. And we'll do this again on this side, and I'm going down, let's see here, about 1/4 of an inch. I'm just going to make a little mark. And I'm going to find the center, which is approximately 1.5, like so. And then I just want to mark at 1 and at 2, and that gives me an inch opening. And we'll make it 1/4 of an inch. Like I said, this doesn't have to be perfect, so I'm just making little lines, trying to connect. Okay, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and cut along the score line up until where these intersect. Do the same thing on this side. And I'm going to rotate it, and I'm going to cut off to leave, you know, 1/2 inch or so. And we'll do the same thing to this side. And I'm going to turn it this way, and I'm going to cut along the score line up until they intersect. And like so. And then leave about the same amount. Okay. I want to miter these corners that we've cut the tabs. I'm just going to cut like so. Make sure not to go past your score line. Just going to go one more time. And do this to all 4 tabs. I'm going to turn it over, and this will be my inside. So I'm going to put decorative paper, and I'm going to cut 4 pieces that measure 2 13/16 by 2 13/16. I'm going to use this on all 4 inserts of the inside, and these do measure 2 13/16. So we're going to count over. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So it's between the 2 3/4 and 2 7/8. I have cut out all 4 of my inside pieces, and I'm just going to glue these down on the inside. What I'm going to do is we've got our 4 pieces glued down. I'm going to turn this over, And I'm just going to cut the window out of the decorative paper. So we've got the windows cut out. Now we can turn this over, cut out 4 more pieces of decorative paper that measure 2 13/16. I've got my 4 pieces, and we're only going to glue them to the, so far we're just going to glue these to the squares that do not have the little cutouts. So it just goes like so. And now we're going to put glue on these 2 tabs and this tab. We're just going to fold this in and wrap it on the outside. I know that's not, I'm doing it a little bit different for this. It'll make a nice, neat square for our outside boxes to go up against. And we'll wrap this one around, and you want to make sure you have got, you want to make sure you have this edge pushed up against the score line, like so. And then I'm going to use my bone folder. We want to really burnish that and make sure we get a nice square box. And I'm going to put glue on these 2 tabs and do the same thing. And just bring it up. I'm pushing it into the score line, and I feel that'll give us a nice, neat square where we're wrapping the outside and not trying to line it up along the edge. So it's a little bit different than most box making, but it will be, we'll cover it with our decoratives. See how nice and square that is? I think it looks really good. Now we can put these on. And I forgot to cut my holes out. But I think I can still do it. I can still reach it. We'll just go like this. And before you glue yours down, you'll want to cut your little holes out. Oh well. So now we're going to glue down our piece to the other side and do the same thing. Have the inside box. Now I have the 2 outside pieces that will form the box on the outside. So I'm going to hold it where I have the smaller section at the bottom and the larger at the top. So I'm just going to cut along the score lines that till they meet, that run along the side till they intersect. And I'll do the same thing on this side. Okay. And then I'll turn it where I've got these, just trying to get it where you can see, and then I'm just going to cut an angle to where we formed that. Okay. And this piece will glue to the bottom of this box. And now I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to leave about a 1/2 inch to make some tabs. And we're going to miter these. And remember, do not cut that score line. It's going right up to it. So this is what this piece looks like. Smaller part on the bottom, larger on the top. I'm going to lay that to the side. I'm going to do the same thing to this piece. And now for the decorative pieces to cover these, you'll need 5 pieces at 2 7/8 by 2 7/8, and one of those will go on the top. And you'll need 12 pieces that are 1 3/8 by 2 7/8. And then for the piece that raises up out of this box, you'll need a piece of decorative that is 2 5/8 by 2 5/8. I have my decorative pieces cut, so I'm going to glue the piece that goes to the lifting square, and I don't know what else to call it, so I'm going to call it that. And then the strips, these do not get any decorative paper. I tried it and it doesn't want to lift as well. I think it's too stiff, so don't put any decorative paper on these. I'm going to go ahead and glue these down. Have our outside pieces. I'm going to turn it over, and this is the inside, and I'm going to go ahead and glue these pieces down. Like so. Now I'm going to burnish our score lines. So now we're going to put glue on our tab, like so, and we're going to bring this down. We're going to line the top edge right below the score line. Just barely, just right up against it. We will do this side. Now I can take two of my decorative pieces and cover the inside up. Do the same thing to this one. I'm going to glue my tabs. For the straps that lift the piece out of the box, they are, I have a correction, so they are 3/4 by 4 7/8, and you're going to score them on the 4 7/8 side at 1/2 inch and 3 7/16. And we're just going to glue these to the center of our strip. And the center of the strip would be at 1 3/8. So you can just put a little pencil mark there if you like. And just eyeball it and get it as close to the center as you can. Make sure that your piece can still fold over. And the 1/2 inch, I'm sorry, the 1/2 inch pieces are at the top, and the, let's see how long these are, the 1 inch part will glue to the bottom of your square. And you want to take your bone folder and just gently put a little curve in this. Try not to get the 1/2 inch piece at the very end, just go up to that score line, and this will help it slide in and out. Bring in this piece, make sure they close, and it will be a snug fit like that. And I've not put the top one. Just want to do that once again and see how they're lining up. And I'm just going to use a little pencil mark here at the top. I want to go ahead and glue these top pieces down. That looks really good. Like how it's doing. So I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to put glue on the bottom tabs. Just push that down. We'll do the other one, making sure our box is nice and lined up of the box. So let's see here, that's the front. I'm going to drop this, turn it around here, get my pattern right, drop it in. And then we're just going to take these ends and go through the rectangles we cut in the side. I'm going to burnish those again just to make sure they stay down. And when we glue our tab, we're just going to put glue. Don't get it on the score line, and you're just going to kind of fold it down, and we're going to glue this to this part of our box, to the side of the box, and I'm holding that in place for just a second. And don't glue your tab to what will be the top. We'll turn around. I'm going to do the other side, putting glue on the tab. Don't get it on the score line. Just folding this back, and then I'm putting it on the side of the box, and I'm centering it. That's why we cut extra on our box, is if we wouldn't get it straight, it'll still work. So I'm going to let those dry for just a second. Just going to push down one more time on each side, and it should close. And there's our box, and you pull it, and it opens, and it closes. So I hope that you give this a try. If you do, make sure to tag me. So I would love to see what you create. But I think it came out really nice. If you would have a problem with it closing, you could always put ribbon around it. And then the tutorial that I followed, she did put magnets here, and you can see to hold it closed. But this one closed really nice. So I'm just going to leave it as is. And I wanted to show you if your box would not close. This one, for some reason, did not want to close. So this is just a prototype, so you would probably want to make a square to go on top, and I just adhered to magnets on the inside so it'll close. So then when you pull it, it'll open. Now it's wanting to go down, but I think it's just going to depend on the papers maybe that you use. This one did not want to close as well. Now it seems like it is, so it may just be you have to work it back and forth. Thanks for watching the tutorial. If you have any questions, just reach out to me, and remember to check out ASC Craft Supplies and use my coupon code Michelle10 for 10% off any regular price purchases, and any order $75 or more ships free. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.